momentum out of these cars here for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series by Yokohama. Taking part out on track, we have a couple different classes that are going to be competing here during qualifying. We, of course, have the 992 Pro-Ams and the 992 Masters. But then we will have You may have noticed Anthony McIntosh, now our quickest overall, has topped Blake McDonald by just over a tenth of a second, which is a stark difference from what it was before. I think it was about 0.6 between P1 and P2. So McIntosh he's coming out swinging.
He is. We haven't seen him since Circuit of the Americas. He's only made 4 starts this season, so it's been a little while since May. But he comes in with some pedigree. He's got some MX-5 Cup experience. Last year was a banner year for Tony McIntosh. He won the AM class of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Championship, and he also won the AM class in the World Final, which was held over in Italy at Vallelunga. So this is a guy with some pedigree when it comes to single-make racing. He's from nearby. He's from Milwaukee, so this is a really big deal for him to get a chance to race here, and he should have some home field advantage, especially relative to the USA West competitors.
If you've been looking at the yellow boxes on the left and wondering what's up with that, well, that's our Cayman drivers. And Michael Gawke, as he's been doing a lot of the season, is still at the top of the timing sheets for them. Bonderson, who comes in after a brief break from this USA West Series to return, is sitting in second. And then Greg Herback, who is a bit of a newcomer to racing in general and still getting his sea legs, is currently running in third in that class.
Yes, and you know, that's not uncommon in Porsche Sprint Challenge, both the USA West as well as the North America Championship. For some people, this is the series they aspire to, coming out of club racing, the chance to get to race in a professional environment, a series sanctioned by a great sanctioning body like USAC. And for others, they use this as a stepping stone to jumpstart their motorsports career. And, you know, over the course of the weekend, I think we'll be talking about a number of drivers that now are racing in Carrera Cup and having success, that might be moonlighting here this weekend, or others that have gone on to race in SRO or in IMSA that have come out of Sprint Challenge. And that's a big part of that Porsche pyramid we talk about so much, where Porsche brings drivers in down at the club level, driving in PCA type of events, track days, into club racing, then up into professional racing like Sprint Challenge, single make racing up through the Carrera Cups, up to Super Cup, and then the chance to go race in GTs and, you know, all the way up into prototypes and even single-seaters with Formula E these days.
It's a fantastic system, and I do love what they do to try and encourage and build that growth within their drivers and loyalty to the brand, you have to admit, too. But speaking of bringing people in, we've had a couple drivers enter pit lane, but we've got plenty of time left. So it looks like mostly just kind of checking tire pressures out there. There's not a whole lot they can do to the car at this stage. So not sure that they'd be calling it this early. We've got so much time left in qualifying, and it's drivers such as Blake McDonald, who's currently sitting in second, Kevin Woods, who's our quickest in the Masters, that have called it. And I don't think they want to leave themselves vulnerable necessarily to lose those top spots.
It depends how confident they feel in the fact that they hold those spots at the moment, and keeping in mind that you have to run your tires from qualifying later on in the weekend. So, you know, keeping an eye on those tires, looking after those Yokohamas, putting fewer laps on them in qualifying, knowing that could help you later on. That might be part of the strategy here at this stage. It's incredibly close, though, between McIntosh and McDonald. Just over a tenth of a second between those two. And then you have to go back about 4/10 to find Casey Dennis, who is here for the first time, let's remember. That's pretty amazing. You think about the amount of racing he's done over the years, but he said this place and Watkins Glen are two that were on the bucket list. He's checking this one off this year, and it sounds like there's a pretty good chance he'll be able to make the trip out to Watkins Glen next year when those schedules get revealed.
Exactly, yeah. It's I'm sure this is an exciting time for him as we watch the 204 come across the line. Now, that's Jean Capestro-Dubets, yes. JCD, very familiar to anybody who's been watching SRO, but this is the first time this season that he's shown up for Porsche Sprint Challenge.
And it was just announced right before the session that he is entered and is planning on taking part in this. It's cool to see JCD get this chance. He was effectively the GT4 champion in SRO last year. He had to miss the 2 races actually here at Road America last year because he had a big crash in a Super Trofeo race here at Road America last year that caused a bit of an injury. So by missing those races, he was not even on points with his teammate, and so technically did not get that championship, but I remember back at the SRO banquet, he was brought up on stage to celebrate the championship along with Zach Anderson, and much deserved. Those two were quite a pair last year, and he's continued his exploits in GT4 racing this year as well. And that's a story we could talk about more. But awesome to see him here. Awesome to see him with GMG, which is such a great team based out of California there on the West Coast, in the process right now of relocating their shop to the Thermal Club in Thermal, California.
Kyle Washington, part of that GMG team there, coming down into Canada Corner himself. He's, actually, he just came past us and set another time, actually. It's down to a 2:09.6. That is putting him back up to the top of the Masters times. Kevin Woods gets slotted down to second, and Luke French is even splitting between them. Keep your eyes, though, on the 2:09 of Laura Eli. She is not known for being as great at qualifying. She'll admit as much, but she's very good in the race. In fact, often will slowly but surely push her way forward and get good results.
It's been an up-and-down weekend for Laura. As you see Kyle out of it here, I think the onboard may be a tad delayed because we saw that time jump up, and Kyle knows he's posted a time good enough for pole, and now it seems to be backing down the pace a little bit. But back to Laura. Her weekend started in testing with an issue with the steering rack, and that cost her some valuable track time. They got that fixed. She went out and had a little incident. Didn't end up doing too much damage, but did make some contact with the tire barrier. So she's been on the back foot here all weekend long, but the good news is she says she knows the track well. And to your point, she is a stalwart competitor and a great racer. When the green flag comes out in the race, you know she's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, she's always so good with her racecraft. We'll see whether or not that'll come to her aid here. Where passing is absolutely possible compared to some of the tracks that we've raced at previously for the USA West Series, where they tend to be a little bit more twisty and technical. This track offers so many good chances to try and sneak your way through the field with these long straights and heavy braking zones. This is Sofronis once again. I believe we've got, I think that's either Mulcahy or Reynolds. Or McDonald's rather, that we're watching here. Trying to make out which of that black and yellow cars, as they are very similarly painted, that we're witnessing. But they're coming down through the hurry downs and into the carousel section. This is into one of the lowest parts of the track right here, actually.
It's a wonderful section of the track, that carousel. It feels like it just goes on forever when you're behind the wheel, and then it leads to this corner. This is the kink. It has a fearsome reputation, and it is well earned. It takes a lot of commitment to go through there with the kind of speed you need to put up a good time. Then this run, it's almost peaceful through the woods until you come out of the woods into Canada Corner here. Lots of runoff, as you can see. The gravel trap there to arrest the speed of cars that might have an issue. Once you're through there, though, it's all uphill here. So in the endurance race, it's going to be important to make sure those cars are fueled up, because once you get out of turn 13, the run to the start-finish line, it's all uphill. And if you are low on fuel, there is no mercy.
Yeah, thankfully, other than our endurance series, there's no scheduled pit stops in most of our series here in Porsche Sprint Challenge. So they shouldn't have to worry about that as long as they get the fuel correct. And that is Mulcahy that we have been watching coming through on this lap. Actually had a very good one and puts himself into fourth now. It's funny that you described the Kettle Bottoms as peaceful, because honestly, if you go down there to watch, I would highly recommend ear protection.
Yeah.
Because it's in the middle, it's in the bottom of a valley, and there's trees everywhere on either side. It is just a cacophonous roar anytime cars come blasting through there.
Yeah, I agree with you. When you're out of the car, it's the strangest sensation when you're in and you're driving through there being surrounded by the trees. We do have a red flag out, and that's one of the GMG cars. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of just which one this is. I know JCD's car had a similar livery.
That's the 204.
Yep, that would be JCD. I wonder what could be going on here. The car itself, at least this side of it, looks all right.
Yeah, so not seeing any telltale tire tracks into the wall. And it is common to spin it out of turn 8. So.
Yeah, this is on the run towards the carousel. The exit of 8, the left-hander at the bottom of the hill.
The safety team doesn't seem to be in any sort of rush, so I'm sure the driver's okay since they had popped the door open and just checked real quick there. Wonder if this could be a bit of a technical issue, like you said. JCD was kind of hustled into this car at the last second, and maybe not everything was as in good of working order as they anticipated.
Had been 10th quick at the time of this red flag. Of course, will lose the fastest lap set previously because of bringing out the red flag. Looks like that cost him just one position, as timing and scoring now reflects that, I believe, has dropped him down behind Laura Eli. I don't know how much seat time JCD has in one of these GT3 Cup cars. They are, by all accounts, a unique beast to drive, and that's by design. They're designed to be a real challenge, as Porsche will frequently look into its single-make championships to try and pluck upcoming talent. But I'm not sure that a driving style, let's say from maybe the GT4 brand that he's using in SRO this year, necessarily translates right over to these Cup cars. And sometimes you do have specialists in these types of cars because they do take a very specific approach to driving.
Yeah, it does surprise me that they didn't put him into one of the Caymans, since that would probably translate a little bit better. But this might be the chassis that they simply had available for this weekend, and that's why that deal perhaps went through. About 3.5 minutes left, and again, the car not really on its way, although it does have power because it's got the flashers going, and it has been for some time, which to me says that maybe there's something mechanical instead that could have failed.
That's definitely a possibility. It'd be a bit of a surprise. GMG turns out really well-prepared race cars, and these Porsche Cup cars are battle-tested as well. You think about the number of laps that they turn. But that said, it is motorsports, and these things do happen. There's the flatbed, so that tells you what you need to know. And with under 3 minutes to go, and when you consider we're doing laps at just over 2 minutes, at the best of conditions, I wonder if we might see an early checkered flag on this session, much as we did in the North America session or a little bit earlier on this morning.
I suspect that we will on that one. So we'll watch and wait to see what new information comes our way while they continue to try and put this car onto the flatbed and bring it back to pit lane. And just as we mention it, the checkered flag now comes out. So that ends our second qualifying session of the morning. Unfortunately, both ending prematurely. Hopefully this is a bit of a case of like they do in theater, where you want a bad rehearsal because that then means you'll have a good show.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. But all things considered, that was looked like a mechanical issue, no contact. So that's good news, and hopefully the GMG crew can get to work. I'd love to see what JCD can do, given the chance to come through the field later on today. But it does look like, at least provisionally, that Anthony McIntosh from just down the road in Milwaukee will start on pole at his home track for the first race today. That's pretty cool to see.
I'm sure he'll be proud of that one. Blake McDonald's going to be starting next to him there. This is all unofficial, of course. Casey Dennis going to be starting from P3. And then you get to Patrick Mulcahy in 4th. After that, you have our Masters pole sitter Kyle Washington, 5th overall. Luke French, who is another of the Pro-Ams, going to be starting behind him. 6th overall. Kevin Woods next in the Masters in 7th. Jim Walsh, P8. And Josh Conley in the 9th spot. From there, Laura Eli rounds out your top 10. And Jean Capestro-Dubets, with his fastest lap to lead, gets demoted down to 11th. We reach our Caymans, which sees Michael Galke on the pole and Paul Bonderson in 2nd, with Greg Herbeck rounding out your 14 cars that have managed to set a time. Kron Zweiback and James Lee, unfortunately not able to set a time, and not expecting some of them to take part. Again, we have more coming your way. The last of our qualifying sessions with the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America by Yokohama GT3 Cup cars at 11:10 a.m. Thanks again for joining myself, Joe Peak, and Ryan Marine here. Until the next session, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.